and welcome to Inside Wilmington. I am your host, Franchon Beeks. Today's guest is the first of many, and we are so excited that she is our new elected city treasurer. Please welcome our guest, Mrs. Velda Jones-Potter. Hi,
Hello.
and welcome.
Thank you.
So before we get started, we want to know even how did you get here? How did you become our city treasurer?
Well, it's a strange happening for me to be in a publicly elected office, something I never saw coming. Most of my background is in the corporate world. I'm a native of Wilmington, of course, so my heart is just anchored in Wilmington and with the state of Delaware, product of public high schools here, P.S. DuPont.
Yes.
And then I went on to University of Delaware, got a graduate degree at Indiana University, and I went to work in the corporate world for DuPont as an engineer.
Wow.
And I spent 17 years with DuPont, had an experience in an executive loan here with the city.
I remember that. Was
Yes.
that under the Sills administration?
Under the Sills
I
administration.
remember that, right. Uh-huh.
And that was life-changing for me. It gave me an opportunity to experience what it's like to make a difference in the lives of people. And I just knew then that whatever I did in my future was going to be more in service to people than in profits to industry.
Awesome. Yes.
And I went back to DuPont, was there for a short time, and then I ventured out on my own in venture capital, small business, and then I was presented with an opportunity to serve as treasurer for the state of Delaware. And some years later, just had an opportunity here with the city, with the current, the past treasurer retiring after 30 plus years in office. And my love for the city, my experience in finance, and as a former treasurer, it just seemed to make sense.
It makes a lot of sense. And what people don't understand is you're like me. Anchored, you said something about my heart is anchored in Wilmington. Born and raised here, so love my city.
Yeah.
Love the good, the bad, the
Yes.
ugly, love everything about it.
Right.
So awesome to be part of all this new growth and this vitality that the city has. And it shows in how people respond to everything, how people voted this last year, that you're in office. We have our first African American female president of council,
Yes.
the Honorable Hanifa Shabazz. We
Right.
have 50% of our council members are new, and then
Yes.
there you are in the treasurer's office.
Yeah.
I mean, it just shows that we are making strides and transitions throughout the city on the government level as well as in so many other areas. So
Yes.
that's awesome.
Well, I think there's so many challenges that we face here as a city, but the flip side of challenge is opportunity.
That's right.
So I think people are just anxious to take self-control and to see things done differently.
Yes.
I think people have really realized that we can't continue to do the same thing and
That's
expect
right.
we're going to get a different result.
That's right. That's absolutely right. And it's showing. So with that being said, though, I am so excited that you're the treasurer because I know your wealth of experience. Like I said, I remember when you came in on loan for Seals. People don't know that I've been in and out here too.
Right.
I've been in and out. I had my first assignment or appointment under the Seals administration for a little while as well. So it takes a love. You have to have a love for your city.
You really do.
You really do.
You really
have to. But the treasurer's office, we have no idea what your role and responsibility is in the city. I really didn't know.
Right.
I knew I voted
Yeah.
every 4 years. And like you said, the past treasurer, we just automatically voted for him. We
Right.
had no idea what we were voting, what the responsibility of the office is. So
Right.
would you mind sharing a little
Right.
bit about that for us?
Well, I guess I will say it's been the best kept secret of the city. You're right. People don't know what we do in the treasurer's office. It's a rather obscure office. My predecessor took a very low profile and tended to focus internally on the city and the operations of the office itself. And that was a great thing.
Yes.
A lot of really good things were done in managing the city's treasury function. So I've stepped into you know, a really good office to pick up the mantle and carry it forward.
That seems to be historically very steady because it's something to do with our bond rating.
Yeah, very
correct?
steady. So what we do, think of us as if you had a personal banker, all that banker would take care of for you. So as the city's treasury arm, we establish and maintain all of the banking relationships that the city has. And that can typically range anywhere from 50 to 60 bank account relationships.
Wow.
When you include all of our investment accounts that we have. So we forecast what the city's cash and financial needs are going to be on a daily basis and then long term. And then we are responsible for ensuring that the city has funds available to meet those needs. So when paychecks have to come out to city employees, we're responsible to make sure that the dollars are there to cover all of those. Debt service that has to be paid, that there are funds there to do that. So we manage the cash, we manage the investment, so as money flows into the city, and we don't need it right away, we make sure it's invested so that there's some return coming back to the city. The other side of what we do is making sure that we have the funds to pay for major capital projects. Wow. And that's where our debt financing comes into play. So we issue bonds on behalf of the city for multi-million-dollar projects that need to be done. And then we also have responsibility for the pension plans that all of the city employees and retirees are a part of.
Wow.
So we're entrusted with the responsibility to ensure that those funds that both the individual and the city set aside for pensioners, that when the time comes for them to access those funds, that they're there.
Wow, that's a whole lot.
Yeah.
I did not know that office had so much. So we'll be right back. You're watching Inside Wilmington. I'm your host, Franchon.
Oh, those boys are much too much. Those boys are much too much. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We got the spirit. We're hot. We can't be stopped. We're going to beat them and bust them.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life.
Let's get a little bit rowdy. R-O-W-D-Y.
Take time to be a dad today. Call or visit fatherhood.gov to learn more.
Welcome back to Inside Wilmington. I'm your host, Franchon Beeks. And we are here with our guest, our city treasurer, Mrs. Velda Jones-Potter. So that was a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work you do in your office. That's awesome and amazing. And I'm glad we have an opportunity for the Wilmingtonians to know what your office does. Now, how many people?
Well, you would think we had a large staff.
Yes.
But we really are a small staff of 6 plus myself.
Wow.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, amazing. I'm going to have to give a shout out to the treasurer's office staff. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's an awesome team. I'm so thankful for every person that's part of it. We are a very nice mixture of people who have extensive experience with the city, some right in the treasurer's office, in our pension area in particular. I'd like to acknowledge the Deputy Treasurer, Mary McDermott, who was formerly the manager of our pension operation here for the city. And then we've got new people. One of the things that I'm really proud of us having done right out of the gate, and thankful to City Council and to the Mayor for their support and our ability to do this, was to add a position in our office. So we previously had 5 plus 1.
Oh my goodness.
But that position is a debt management position.
Okay.
And it's
you explained that a little bit earlier in the first segment.
Yes, it's a very critical position, particularly in sort of post the market meltdown period, where regulations and people being, or organizations being held accountable for compliance has become much more important, and frankly subject to fines and penalties if you don't. So this allows us to work more closely with accounting and with those people who implement the projects to ensure that we are in compliance with our bond issue requirements.
I understand.
And so we're really excited about, I am about the team and about what we've been doing and what's yet to come.
Well, speaking of the team, with that comes any accomplishments as we are facing our first 90 days, entering our first 90 days, all of us that are new in our new positions, and also what opportunities that present for your office.
Well, you know, I made a commitment to the citizens of Wilmington when I asked them to give me an opportunity to serve in this capacity. And that commitment was not only that I would do my very best, but that I would hit the ground running, that my experience in finance as a former treasurer would make a difference. And
as a former state treasurer.
Former state treasurer.
Right.
And that would make a difference, and that experience was important in this role. And so I guess I'm really happy to say that I believe we've seen the fruits of that. In this first 90 days, we have, in my opinion, really hit the ground running.
Give us an example.
Well, okay, let's see, where I start here. So sort of day one almost, the rating agencies were knocking on our door saying, you know, we're here to take a look at the city to assess its bond rating. Part of that is the process of them keeping the public informed on past bonds that you've issued.
Okay.
People have made investments in you. They want to know, are you still a healthy organization? And the other piece of that was the anticipation that we would be doing another bond refunding.
What does that mean, bond refunding?
I will liken that to if you had a car loan and you refinanced it to get a lower interest rate so that you could save money.
You have great analogies. You're helping me understand this office. I just want to tell you that works. Personal banking, it's like refinancing a loan. I got it. Okay.
So in anticipation that we would be doing that, trying to take advantage of a better market and lower the cost of bonds that we had issued some years ago, the rating agencies were knocking on our door right away, and we, out of my office, coordinated with the other city departments, Office of Management and Budget, Finance. Lots of departments participate in the process to have and we're fortunate in getting
this has happened in your first?
Oh my gosh, that was in the first 2 weeks.
Wow. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm still amazed that all this happened in the first couple of weeks. But finish that.
And we were very fortunate in getting the city's strong bond rating reaffirmed by all three agencies, Fitch, Moody's, and Standard & Poor's. Reaffirmed the strong ratings for the city. I'll give you another personal analogy. It's like, okay, you maintained your strong credit score. So you know what that means when you go out to the market.
Right.
People are more confident in loaning to you, and so you're able to get.
And your interest rates are a little lower.
Your interest rates are lower.
Right. Yeah.
So we took that and we rolled right into bond refunding. We refunded $40 million of bonds for the city, and out of that we will save the city $4.2 million.
That's awesome news. So tell me, we only have a couple of minutes left.
Okay.
Tell me really quickly some other goals or objectives or some opportunities you believe that you're going to take advantage of or manifest during your term.
Okay. Well, a couple of the areas we're really focused on is, and this is probably my engineering background, is operating efficiencies. We're really, we're mapping our payment and disbursement process. We're working with human resources and accounts payable and other entities within the city that generate payments.
I guess they're not used to seeing the treasurer's office knock on their doors to other departments.
You know, they're not so used to it, but they are also welcoming and inviting of it.
Good.
It's as if they were just sort of waiting for things to roll.
Good.
And so I can't say enough great things about the level of cooperation we're getting and the success that we're already beginning to see. We're going to institute some technology into our organization, so we're going to look to automate some of our forecasting and our debt management. And then I am excited about, and I'd love sometime in the future to talk with you more about doing more community outreach and engagement of the community. Financial education for City of Wilmington residents and organization is going to be a very strong focus of mine. Just all sorts of opportunities that we're seeing that out of this office, we can be a source of information, education, and advocacy for people on financial, economic, and consumer matters.
Well, that's amazing, and you absolutely are the woman for the job. We are so glad and excited about everything you've shared with us today.
Well, thank you.
And I'm sure we got to have you back because there's so much in your office, and you have so many great things that we are excited about that's going to come out of your office. So, with that being said, everyone, we thank you for joining us today on Inside Wilmington. I'm your host, Franchon Beeks, with our City Treasurer, Mrs. Velda Jones-Potter. And we hope to see you again, and stand by, and we'll be back shortly.
Being a dad can be tough.
When's the fairy princess coming?
Any minute now. But it's always worth it.
I know it's really you, Boo. I'm just pretending for the other kids.
Take time to be a dad today. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Hey, Daniel. The gentleman over there, he paid for your meal.
The power of one small action, one conversation, or one phone call can make a difference in the life of a veteran going through a difficult time. For free 24/7 confidential support, call the Veterans Crisis Line or the Military Crisis Line.
Welcome back to Inside Wilmington. I am your host, Franchon Beeks. And my next guest is Abundance Child from Drop Squad Kitchen, one of Wilmington's gems, one of our best kept secrets. Welcome, Abundance.
Hey, hey.
I'm so glad you are here. Well, I want you to introduce yourself to everyone,
Right.
but mostly I want to talk about how did you start your business? I understand that you started out as an incubator in Molly's ice cream shop.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think that's such an important concept to share with the citizens of Wilmington, especially those of us who might be interested in starting a business. So tell us about Drop Squad Kitchen, and then tell us about how you came to be via incubator.
Well, I'm Abundance Child, and I started in Molly's Old Fashioned Ice Cream. Molly's Old Fashioned Ice Cream has been in the riverfront since 1998.
Wow.
Yes,
1998.
1998, and it was owned by my mother, Maxine LeVay.
Hi, Miss Maxine.
She used to be special assistant to Mayor Sills. You know, she's done a lot of stuff for the community.
Absolutely.
But when she got tired, because she came from corporate, from Verizon, as a matter of fact, she was like, I've never made so much money. I've never worked so hard and made so little money.
Absolutely.
She's like, I can't do this. This was Molly's was her retirement project, and so she was not ready for all of that work that retail actually asks of you. So she was ready to close the doors, and I had lost my job at at Career Team, as a matter of fact, and she was like, girls, why don't you start selling some of them kale salads and some smoothies?
And which we love.
You're
Kale
going up
salad.
and down the road doing all this vending and catering. She's like, why don't you try to do it here? Why? It just took over.
Yes.
And she was like, that incubation saved me a lot of stress. I learned the business, because it's one thing to be able to cook food, but if you don't know food costs, you don't have a business plan, you don't understand about funding, payroll. I didn't know business like I thought I did.
Like we thought, that's a good point. No, you said you didn't know business like you thought. You knew you had a good idea.
Right.
Right?
I knew I had a gift and some
You had a
talent.
gift and some talent in making these great vegan dishes, yes. But then being there, when did you start as an incubator inside Molly's Old Fashioned Ice Cream?
2012.
Wow. So it's now 2017, so 5 years.
5 years.
So you started out, and I know you changed. I remember in the beginning you changed the recipes a little bit.
Yeah,
So
girl.
that's a process, right?
Yes.
What
My
was that
daughters
about?
and they're always like, do you remember the V-steak 1.0? I was like, yeah, it was just some mushrooms, peppers, and somebody else's cheese on the steak rolls that we used at Molly's. So I understood that it's one thing to cook for your family like we do as single parents, but to cook for like 100 to 500 people a day,
It's a big difference.
it's a big difference. Understanding food costs. Where do you get this food from? How do you maximize off of that? Staffing has been one of my biggest issues. Because my mom incubated me, I was able to try things out. I didn't have to worry about putting a whole lot of money on the line, putting my house, the equity up or anything like that, and falling on my face and then having nothing. It gave me an opportunity to use the skills that I had, which was my talent for making vegan food.
Yes.
That's something that a lot of people are not able to do. As well as I'm very good with social networking, social marketing. So I was able to put those things together and use things like Instagram and Facebook to propel my brand. What the incubation allowed me to do was to really establish my brand and find out the finance aspect of it, the staffing aspect of it, and the timing and things like that.
Right, and that's so important. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I felt that was so important, because so many times I've seen businesses, I did it myself. I get this $5,000 rent overhead. We have yet to work out all the kinks, and so you go under really before you even get started.
That's
so,
right.
and I know as a community economic development focus that incubation and cooperative financing is really necessary to micro businesses, because people tend to get it confused. They
That's
think
right.
that micro business and small business are hand in hand.
They're not.
They're not. You know, a small business, you can have up to 50 employees and $500,000.
250,000, I think.
I think it was just went up to almost 500,000.
Wow.
Yes. So, and then you have the micro businesses, which are also known as mom and pop shops. We have 2, 3, if we're blessed, 5
Yes.
employees, right? And we hope that our gross receipts are over $50,000 to $100,000 at the end of the year. So there's 2 different situations, and you can really struggle, especially if you don't have lines of credit, as you said,
Which I
equity house,
didn't.
right? Lines of credit, cash flow. Still need time to build your business plan and work out the kinks. So that incubation is very important. So what's your mom doing now?
Mom, she just has to be doing something. So she is the trainer over at Career Team, helping with welfare to work, helping to provide the sisters with soft skills, making sure that their resume gets in the right place, just making sure that their resume is doing what it's supposed to do anyway. Like make sure your things are spelled right.
Right. Still giving back. Still giving
Absolutely.
back.
And she is also my human resource person at Drop Squad, so she does all of the documentation. So that makes sure that we don't have any problems with unemployment insurance, stuff like that, because that's what she did for Verizon.
Right.
So,
but all of those things are awesome. And you're a family business.
Yes.
Everybody in the family works there,
That's
which I
right.
think is awesome. That's important. And I know you said since that incubation was so important to your success, what are you doing? Are you incubating other businesses? Are you teaching about incubation as an option? What are you doing?
because I have been successful, and I'm saying successful based off of the model you just said. I started out as a micro business and self-funded my way with no loans, not having using my line of credit, other than maybe some stuff to get some like Apple equipment. People really should take advantage of stuff like that. I went from micro business to small business category within 5 years. And I think that's unheard of, meaning I didn't have to take any loans. All praises and due are, respect to my ancestors, God, and to my mom for allowing me to do that. Everybody doesn't have that. So I work with single women specifically via my organization called Order Mother Earth to do the same thing. I allow people to, my mom helped me to have a place to stay for 5 years. So now I'm doing that with somebody else. So my thing is to help these sisters get their game, godly ability to master everything. We create a spell book which they put their spelling out. What is your business plan? What is your life plan? And my job is to help them with that and to identify people. So if you have somebody who wants to be a spoken word artist, I need to really hook you up with Sister Franchon. If you want to do this as a business, you need to be with her, volunteering with her and doing that. Meanwhile, I'm going to help you get your finances together. You have a place to work at Drop Squad Kitchen. I have other businesses that you can do. And so I did the same thing that my mom did for me. I'm basically giving you the venue, giving you the mentoring and some resources, whether it's a car, whether it's a home. And that's actually what I'm doing with a few sisters right now.
That's so important. That's so important because I remember, again, I was a single mother.
For me,
thank you. And this is why it's so good to see so much success, And as you also, I have a passion for helping single women, single women who are parents, figure out how to be entrepreneurial. And like you said, it takes a wealth of resources that you really are not even aware of. And then what's happening, what I'm finding now is trending, is there's a lot of artists that believe that their art can fund, they can quit their jobs and then be an artist. And I'm like, well,
You want to be a starving artist.
yeah, well, how much does your business make? Well, I think it makes $50,000. And how much were you making at your job? Oh, 45. So if you're not making at least 95,000 in your business, you really can't afford to leave
That's
yet.
right.
And so I'm doing a lot of that because, again, as you said, it takes mentorship, resources, and most of us are self-funded.
That's right.
So that's big. That's big. Well, thanks for sharing all that about incubation, but you got to talk a little bit about the food.
All right. Yeah. I'm really
The
proud of
food.
that. I'm proud of that because I became a vegan in 1993. And I did it because of peer pressure. I was like down there in Atlanta, like all these people were fly and conscious. I'm from little old Delaware. I don't have anything to say, so I lied. And said, well, I'm vegetarian too. But girl, my acne went away, my cycle changed, and it really became a lifestyle for me. But my issue was cheese and soul food. Like I would go to family, things, and I'm just like,
You want a piece of fried chicken?
I do.
I want some macaroni and cheese.
I wanted that comfort. I wanted that soul. I figured out that's what it was. And then I also figured out that some of those things that you're craving, if you want those things, maybe your body really is lacking protein. Maybe you're lacking the carbohydrates that your body needs. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do something like Drop Squad, the movie. People should check it out, see why I call it that. And I'm going to create a situation where we deprogram people from the standard American diet and reprogram them to what our ancestors ate, how we ate, which was more holistic, more soulful.
Yes.
We put love in the food. We sit down and we eat with our family. So that's why we have fresh vegan soul food. I give people the macaroni and cheese, but it's 100% plant-based. I'm making the cheese out of carrots and potatoes, nutritional yeast, garlic, and onion powder. That's it. People are like, how do you make your cheese sauce? I just gave you the recipe. I'm making ribs.
And it's so good.
Thank you. Ribs, macaroni and cheese. Y'all say y'all want grape drink. Well, we can make some grape drink, but we're going to juice those grapes.
Yes.
And we're going to add natural things like dates. So fresh vegan soul food is taking what the Most High has given us via the fruits and the vegetables that's grown by the sun and giving us nutrients firsthand instead of having get it from animals and things like that. It works better for us, and it also keeps us to be less programmed by people who are marketing and downloading things that are not helping us as a people.
Yes.
So vegan soul food.
Vegan soul food, and it is awesome. And tell us about the Sunday brunch you have.
Well, that's something that's lacking when you become vegan. You don't get eggs. So we're making eggs out of like scrambled ackee. You know, I mean, it's a plant. It's good, but it tastes like eggs. It looks like eggs.
It looks like eggs too,
right.
yes.
You want some fried fish and grits? We got that, but we're gonna use the yellow corn grits instead of the bleached grits. Y'all want chicken and waffles? We're gonna make those. We're gonna make it out of whole grain or spelt flour, which is better for you. You're gonna make the chicken out of the protein of wheat, which they call gluten, but it's the protein and has such a great fibrous, dense texture that I can season that joint with your onion powder and the garlic.
Yeah, you definitely can.
You know, I mean, and it looks like it.
Yes.
So that's what the brunch is. You could get anything on our Sundays, and we're open 11 to 7, you know.
Yes, good. And now you're open 7 days a week.
Yes, ma'am.
I remember when you weren't. Now you're open 7 days a week, which is awesome. And you also, the last thing before we close out the segment, I noticed the last time I was there, you're also purchasing from local farms and local
Delaware Center for Horticulture, and I have a few more people that have came to me that I'm working with around here. So. Yeah, it's just better that way. The food tastes better, and for people who have allergies, they're going to get better because the food is coming from around here. The bees are pollinating the plants around here, and it keeps the economy in Wilmington going. And I'm very helpful because these people are delivering, and they're also providing opportunities for my staff to give back and do some volunteer work.
Community economic development at its finest.
Thank you.
And I thank you for that. I thank you for all that you do. It's been a pleasure sharing in your evolution. And I'm just so proud of Drop Squad Kitchen and all that you all do. And thank you for being my guest today.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. I love you too. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us on Inside Wilmington. And we look forward to seeing you next time.